You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Welcome back to MaxBet Podcast. I'm here with Ari Mizrachi from Tangam Systems. And you were here for arguably one of our most successful, most popular episodes that you shot with Mike last October about true persistence. And it was huge. We got a lot of feedback, like hundreds of comments, and people are still posting about this. You just said that someone on, what was it, X or something,
Yeah.
and it got like 11,000 views or something. So
Yeah.
it's a very relevant hot topic. So we thought you should come back on and tell us, has anything changed? Is everything still the same? Like, where is the industry now? And has your opinion evolved at all? Because you had a very specific hot take on things.
Well, thanks for having me back.
Yeah.
It's always good to be here. My opinion has not changed. If anything, my opinion's gotten stronger. You know, it's funny, when Mike asked for me to come out and talk about this, I knew that I would have to deal with some pushback, whether it be from competitor of ours in the data analytics space, friends of mine that have worked in the casino business, some of our current clients, and the vendor side. And all of that kind of apprehension came true almost immediately, right? So that's the kind of the weird thing. I'll be honest, the last couple of times there's been gaming shows, it's been kind of tense talking to manufacturers. And not in a sense that because I don't have any skin. We don't have any skin in the game by talking this, right? Like Mike and I go back a while now. Let's come up with a topic of something of interest. I knew that this would be interesting. Why are you talking about this?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, that's what these podcasts are for, to talk about the industry. It's about talking about things that are uncomfortable. But you're wrong, because our mathematicians and our game designers are saying you're wrong. And I'm like, they're wrong. I said, I would love to meet with them.
Yeah.
I was like, we have data that shows that players make a living playing these games. And prior to persistence feature, a slot person could not make a living playing slots. And if anything, there's more of those games on the floor today than there were then. And, what I learned, a few years ago was that life cycle of a game. When a vendor creates a game around the math model, they don't think about it today, and 2 weeks from now, there's a game on the floor. It's probably a couple of years. So kind of awkward timing, I think, for me to start talking about it when a lot of those games were then going to get deployed. And they have, some manufacturers back in October had none of those on the floor. And then fast forward to today, some of those manufacturers now have games with true persistence. And I kind of feel bad for the manufacturers, which, this is not me or Tangam against the vendors. They're friends of mine.
Right.
I kind of feel bad because it's like, well, the guy selling it didn't make the game, and the person that made the game thought they created something really special. So kind of weird timing that I talk about this, and now there's probably 60 to 80 new themes on the floor since last time.
Okay.
So it's gotten worse.
It's gotten worse. Give us the Reader's Digest version of the conversation you had last time, the findings that you came across, and what is perceived persistence, true persistence,
Sure.
break that down.
With true persistence games and the games that have very, 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 very long cycles, and I don't know the math, but it could be 500, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 spins before it goes from a negative to a positive. And then when I was here last time, I said that's the issue, is that when I sit at a slot machine and I have a certain bankroll, most games are designed that I will feel the experience of a bonus before my day's over. Mm-hmm. And if you could do that right from a math model and a game design, you've probably done a good enough job where, Hillary can come with her $100 bankroll. She has a $1 average bet. She plays the game. She knows she might not win or lose, but she got into a bonus. And if a game designer can create that experience for Hillary, she'll leave the casino going, I might have not won, but at least I got into a bonus. Mm-hmm. With long cycle true persistence games, Hillary has next to zero chance of ever getting into the bonus, because you're going to only play it when it's at a negative state, because all the advantage players reap the benefits and you would have never had a chance. Now you might say, well, why can't I experience the highs? Well, your $100 bankroll will never move the needle, because you need thousands of handle spins potentially to go from that negative state all the way to positive. The problem with these games is, if you sit down at this game, it's a really cool cabinet, it's a really cool theme, it looks fun. When you're playing that game at 1,024 ways, you could be playing that game at a 50% house advantage. I'm actually okay with perceived persistence. I think that The difference between perceived persistence and actual persistence is in RNG math models without persistence features, there's a X amount of spins to get into a bonus. So like, let's say 140 is the right number. Every 140 spins, the bonus will go off. With games like Dragon Link, I don't know the number. I think it's like 60. Every 60 spins, the bonus will go off. With perceived persistence games, players can stay 2 to 3 times longer at that machine than any other game mechanic because of those features. Now, you might say it's unfair because they think they're going to win, and that's where they're playing. And I would say with perceived persistence, that's the genius of the game. Like you're playing and things are growing, and you know that one has nothing to do with the other, but you feel like you fed this beast, and now the beast has to pay me back. And it's not a matter of, oh, I'm supposed to win, or the casino's pulling wool over my eyes. I think the majority of slot players know with perceived persistence that I know it could pop at any time, but because I have this like tie to it, and that's why those games have been genius. I think Mike said he would never design a game without it. With perceived persistence games with those pots, it's the same math. So it's still between every 50 and 100 spins, it's going to pop.
It's an RNG model, right?
Correct.
It's a random number generator. So it's eventually going to hit sooner than a true persistence.
So yeah, in a true persistence game, not all, right? And that's the thing is like not all true persistence games are equal. There's some that only have, 10 spin cycles. Ultimate X video poker is a true persistence game, but it's only a 1 spin cycle, right? So if you like video poker and you play Ultimate X, and I think if you get like a flush or a full house, you might have 12x the next spin.
Okay.
You don't have to make that next bet. You can get up and leave. I can then sit down and play that at a 12x multiplier for the next spin. Doesn't mean I'm going to win. It's just that one hand is now a 12x, or so those games are one-time spins. There's no issue with that. Ultimate X, the person that invented that was a genius, right? It kept people staying there because they don't want to leave the multiplier on the screen when they leave. Now, if you leave an Ultimate X with a 12 times multiplier, and AP will take advantage. If you leave cash falls at a positive state, they'll take advantage. If you see Scarab at 8 or 9 of 10 spins and it's a positive state, they'll play it. AP players making a living on AP games are not looking for those. They're looking for the games that takes thousands of spins before, or potentially thousands of spins before it becomes a positive state. So they're waiting for other players that don't know any better to play these games. And as soon as that person gets up, because eventually you run out of time or money, you get out, they jump in, and they reap the benefits. And they're using those games as ATMs.
And your opinion is that doesn't help the casino, and it doesn't help the industry as a whole. These games are also, they're charting really high, what you said, but they're also falling off pretty quickly because the regular player isn't getting that same experience. Like if they just keep getting smoked on them, they're not going to keep going back.
Yeah, you nailed it, right? So, some people in the industry that kind of disagree with me, and I love people disagreeing with me because that's a healthy conversation.
Yeah.
They're like, well, it's just going to fall off anyway. And I'm like, but if Hillary is just a regular customer that comes in 3 times and you are not married to a game, you're just going and you're walking and you're looking at the bells and whistles and cabinets and you see a game that looks fun and you happen to play a long cycle true persistence game 3 times in a row, there's a good chance that you're going to have such a bad taste in your mouth you're not going to want to go back. And
For sure.
Our business is made off of the non-advantage player, not the advantage player. So what these advantage players do, the true advantage players are, because there's so many of those games out there, they're just siphoning off all the low-hanging fruit that should have been left for a regular customer. And any operator out there knows of the arguments that happen on the casino floor. Like I think 5 years ago when people didn't know what people were arguing about, but then they're like, I always have to deal with this guy because he's being a jerk to my regular customers, and I don't know what he's doing because it's slots and you can't take advantage of slots, but why is he or she being a jerk? So now if you go to any casino floor, you'll see a bunch of people standing there just loitering, standing there just waiting for someone to get out. And it's gotten so bad on the Vegas Strip where it's all spotters, right? So you can take on the job of just finding a game, a long cycle game, at an AP state. You call in the money person, that person plays, And if whatever profit you get a percentage of. And those people aren't even playing. They're just there looking for spots. Because there's so much money to be made in the long cycle true persistence games that it's worth it.
I was reading some of the comments. A lot of AP players came out of the woodwork to comment on the podcast episode on YouTube. And a couple AP players were like, I quit my day job because after a year I couldn't do both. And I'm making, 10x whatever I made at my day job now going in a couple hours a week.
And it's
just
true.
Off of this.
After I saw the post on X, I texted my boss, who's our president, and I said 3 sentences. I said, the AP players know I'm right, the operators think I'm wrong, and the vendors hate me. I said, what am I benefiting from this, right? And the reason why I talk about it is I come from a family of gamblers. I've always been the guy that's always, cheered on the underdog. Mm-hmm. So if Joe Blow is winning $3,000 a week, he's not winning it from the casino. He's winning it from all of the regular slot players out there that left the game at a positive state that should have gotten an experience of some of those winnings. And they're not. Right? So when you run a casino, you want people to win.
Yeah.
But the people that you want to win are the ones that are real gamblers that are going to come back and continue to experience your casino and come back. You don't want to give people money. You don't want to give the winnings to people that will never give you money back. And that's what it's created. The problem is the slot industry is a multi-billion-dollar business. So what I'm talking about is there's a certain pie, and that slot pie is ginormous. These players, and they're doing absolutely nothing wrong, they're a lot smarter than I am, they've found an opportunity that I could come into a casino, I can look at these games, I've done my homework, I've done my research. Every time I press that button, I have a positive expected value on every spin that I make. Mm-hmm. And they're making a living. But the problem is those players will not benefit the casino in any way. Now, all the naysayers are like, oh, most of these guys are just problem gamblers or degenerate gamblers, and they're going to put their money back. There might be a few out there that like, hey, I'm a regular gambler. I read this blog, and I happen to see this game, and it's positive, and I played it. But they're going there to gamble. The majority of these people are trying to make a living. And there's nothing wrong. Like, I don't want to stop anyone from making a living. The problem is it's just taking away from that casino ecosystem. And how I discovered it was by accident. We built our slot optimization software 5 or 6 years ago. I was tasked to becoming our resident slot expert. And, I spent the last 5 or 6 years living slots. And when we started getting customer data in with our first clients, I noticed customers that were winning every day. First of all, if you're coming to the casino 30 out of 30 days and winning every day, something is wrong. Either the data that we're getting is wrong, you're cheating, or the third thing, which I didn't know at the time, was, there's games that you could take advantage of. Because my initial thought was the data's wrong. Like, this casino's just sending us bad data. There's no way Hillary could come every day and win. No one's that lucky. I started realizing, these are the types of games I play. I did more research with YouTube and all that, and like, these games have some feature that is a true percent. And then I started just connecting all these dots, and then I started looking at all the players that were winning on a system basis, and I started realizing, they're all playing these types of games. And then with our company, we did a lot of research where there's about 400 themes that have a feature that you could take advantage of.
Yeah.
And now every casino that we work with, there's hundreds of customers that come in and just take advantage. They take advantage of a positive state of a game. And most operators disagree with me. They're like, why do I care? Why do I care who wins or loses? And I'm like, well, no, you don't have control of that in regular RNG. Mm-hmm. But you want Grandma Sally to win once in a while.
I think the argument that people probably bring too often, a lot of other games in the casino are skill-based. And, you have to know how to play blackjack when you sit down. You're probably going to lose a lot of money unless you know what you're doing. Same with poker, other games. So if people have found a way to win, should we really be penalizing them for that? Or like some people are like, yeah, fuck those guys. They're so terrible. Like, get them out of here. But really, if they're just smarter than everybody else, is that really a bad thing?
Well, I would just say, I guess my analogy, or the way that I explained it in Mike last time, and I'll say it again because I think it's the best analogy. I grew up in poker. I grew up as a poker dealer and then opened up a bunch of poker rooms. When I was being mentored, one of the old school guys said, Ari, you got to protect the poker ecosystem. If you want your poker room to survive, you got to make sure that your recreational player is taken care of. Don't worry about the pros. If I ran a poker room where I catered to poker pros only and not the recs, I'd have no business. So if I had a poker game with, say, a 9-handed poker game, 8 are pros and 1 is a rec, my business would close in 2 months. Because the pro, the rec or the recreational player would have no chance of winning against 8 pros. Mm-hmm. So when I think about true persistence games is, you're saying, why should I care? Since I've been learning slots, I've been yelled at that slot holds are too high now. You got to protect the customer. These are slot old heads, right? Mm-hmm. You got to give them time on the vice. Scott, it can't be more than 8% hold. We got to give them time on the vice. And in the same breath, they're like, well, I don't care about AP players. Well, or I don't care about true persistence games. And I'm like, well, a true persistence game at its base state could have up to a 50% house edge. So if you're telling me that you like an 8% hold environment, why do you have those games on the floor?
That's fair.
Because Betty, the slot player, is only playing it when it's hugely negative. Yeah. Because Joe, the AP player, is not allowing Betty to ever play that game at a positive state. Yeah. And then one person said, well, why don't we educate the industry about it? Tell them when to play it. And somebody else was like, yeah, they were getting like, yeah, we should do that. I said, no one would ever play the game. They're like, what do you mean? Well, if you're only playing the game at a positive state and it starts only at a negative state, and they're like, oh, yeah. And that's the problem. The problem is that, as more people become educated, and I think this is all going to cycle itself out, right? Okay. I think that those games fall off faster. I think that as players get more educated, there's more APs out there trying to fight for a seat. Mm-hmm. And I did some research before I came on. There's not one long cycle true persistence game that has survived in iGaming.
Really?
So the argument is that players like it. Well, the way to prove a true persistence game, a long cycle true persistence game, is put it on iGaming. Because a true persistence game on iGaming is a personal persistence. I love personal persistence, right? The game's mine. Mm-hmm. Right? So there's some games that have those very long cycle math models. If the argument is people really like it and they're loyal to it, well then, what better game than having a true long cycle, true persistence game on iGaming? And the ones that have been put on have failed immediately. Why? Because Joe Schmo, the regular slot player that is experiencing the base game, because every true persistence game at its start is always at the most disadvantaged state. Mm-hmm. The person plays their $50, $100, $20, whatever their bankroll is, and says, this game stinks. Yeah. Because in order for you to get to the bonus round on those long cycle games, you would have to pay thousands of dollars.
That makes a lot of sense.
It proves it. Again, I have no skin in the game. Mm-hmm. But what I do know is if the industry ever feels the effects, it's going to be really bad. Right? And it's going to be way too late.
Another comment people were saying was that AP players are such a small percentage of casino patrons. What are you seeing from the data side? Like, is that really true? Are they doing enough damage to make a huge impact on casinos' income or on their payouts? Or
yeah, so that's the problem, is it doesn't affect any of that, right? Okay. So Casino A has 1,000 slot machines and Casino B has 1,000 slot machines. Casino A has half true persistence and Casino B has 0. Casino A did $10 million in turnover in a month. All those games have a 10% house edge. The casino's going to win $1 million. Mm-hmm. Casino B has no true persistence games, has 1,000 machines, and they do $10 million a month in handle. Of course, these numbers are very low for a regular casino, but just trying to keep things simple. And those games had a 10% house edge. They would make $1 million a month. Both casinos, the casino makes $1 million a month. The problem is that Casino A, that has all these true persistence games, long cycle ones, you have all these individuals coming through the door that are not real customers. And that $1 million lost is at the detriment to, so for you to win $500, I have to lose money for you to win it. Again, it's not being won from the casino, it's being won from the cycle. So for a game, so say, whatever, Scarab. I'm not going to use Scarab. Nobody cares about Scarab. So Scarab is, the game makes $1,000 a day. If you're making a living off of Scarab, because most players leave at 8 or 9 spins, in order for you to, say, win 300 a day, the game now has to lose 1,300.
Okay.
So it has to lose more money for you to benefit and walk out with profit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of the problem, is that, well, the game makes 800 a day. Why do I care? And I'm like, but in order for Joe to profit from these games, people have to lose more money for him to walk out the door with cash.
So the casinos, it doesn't matter for them as the operators.
Doesn't matter to them.
Their bottom line is still the same. So they're
Correct.
still getting their money.
Correct.
But you're saying that they should care because they're getting, the wrong kind of customer, basically, customers who are taking advantage. And also their other customers are getting taken advantage of. So it's really like, why should casinos care?
As a casino, you're hoping that people come back and gamble. In a world where everybody pays 10% tax, right? I come in with $100. I play $100. I should leave with 90, right? 10% tax, 90. Mm-hmm. And then tomorrow I come in, I have 90. Now I leave with 81. And then next day I come back with 81, and now I have whatever that is, 73, 78, whatever, 72. In the long run, a casino needs me to come back to gamble in order to be profitable. Ari's a regular customer. Hillary's an AP player. If I come in and lose 200 and you win 200, well, you're never coming back to lose. I still have to continue to contribute so the casino A could still make $1 million. At some point, the regular slot player, is going to go broke. The regular slot player will go broke faster than they would if there was no true persistence games. That well will dry quicker with long cycle true persistence games, because the AP players will never contribute back to the ecosystem. So you're siphoning from your regular customers, and if marketing cannot continue to get new customers, well, then you lose, then revenues go down.
Someone was saying in the comments that Reno recently, they got rid of all true persistence games.
One casino, yeah, a lot of them have started, but one, as I understand it, got rid of all of them pretty quickly.
So it was one, and then and I don't know if this stat is true, but they said their revenue went down 4% that year.
There's no chance. No, I think whoever's spewing this is like just trying to keep games. So we had one client.
Great.
Yeah, we had one client that believed what we had to say, and again, we have no skin in the game.
Yeah. When
we explain, you had 150 of these games on your floor. Here's 150 players that have taken $300,000 out of your building in the last 3 months. Again, it's not your money; it's the other slot players' money, but they won $300,000 collectively. They as a company just said, okay, we're going to get rid of every game. And they did not lose one single nickel in revenue.
Wow.
Because you're not supposed to. The only way that you would lose revenue is if players, non-AP players, were loyal to true persistence games. But the work that we've done, and the thing is that I have found almost zero loyalty to long cycle true persistence games from non-AP players.
Well, why would you? It sounds like
you can't.
Literally a losing game. Like, I can't win.
But everybody thinks I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Because they're like, people like it. I'm like, who? Because the data doesn't suggest it. And the only players that you could see that play it or that have a lot of frequency are AP players. Mm-hmm. Now the problem is that the AP players are very crafty on masking their wins and losses. Right? Because data's not perfect, right? You have to put a player's card in if you want to get rated. You could pull out your player's card whenever you want. Mm-hmm. So use a game like Scarab. Spins 1 through 9 are supposed to be unprofitable based on the math model. Spin 10, whatever symbols got stuck will become wild. Mm-hmm. What AP players do is they'll leave their card in for spins 1 through 9, and then they'll pull their card on the 10th spin. So any winnings that they had on the 10th spin, they're not showing to casino. So they're showing that they're bigger losers. This is just all obvious stuff that prior to 6-7 years ago, the industry never had to deal with. It's like, I would love to talk to game designers, game manufacturers, and vendors. I mean, I have a ton of friends in that space. I'm rooting for them. Our industry is rooting for the game designers. If they don't make good product, we fail as an industry. Yeah. This is a small subset of the slot creators have done an amazing job in the last 10 to 15 years. That's why slots has blown up. It's because of the games. Mm-hmm. Marketers are going to say it's because of marketing. The game,
selfishly, yes.
yes, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But without good games, people don't come back.
Mm-hmm.
So they've done this amazing job creating amazing games, and the hardware with the cabinets, and the music, and the design and the graphics. Awesome. This is such a small part of most manufacturers' game content that I'm just saying was a miss.
We've talked about, obviously, the effects for casinos, the effects for the individual patrons. As far as like the argument for the actual manufacturers, why would they care? Because I think what they're thinking is, I'm assuming as a game designer, I'm not one, but they're probably saying, this is fun. This is like an exciting new part for the game. Like, it's probably fun for them to make.
Yeah.
What's in it for them? Like, are there any downsides to these games? Are they making so much money, but then it's going away? Like, are they just breaking even? Are they making a profit so they don't even care? Like, what's in it for them, really?
They got to sell cabinets.
Yeah.
And they got to sell conversions.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not doing it with any ill will. I mean,
No.
This doesn't negatively affect them. I think it's more of an education, right? I've had a chance to talk at some pretty high levels that were like, I didn't think it was a problem. Like, I know there's a persistence feature. I didn't really think people could take advantage of it. So to the manufacturer's defense, they don't get slot customer data. In a way, it helps them, right? You got to think about some of these games that are on the, high up in the Eilers reports. It's a lot of false coin in. And what I mean by that is, if Grandma Sally plays a game and 7 of our friends follow and they finally turn into a positive state but they walk away, all that coin in that happened from the AP play is like fake coin in.
How?
Because half of the play is happening from the regular customer that's just playing it. Those AP players are only playing it because it's at a positive state.
Yeah.
So there would be half the amount of coin in potentially on those games if there wasn't a true persistence state to that game, if that makes any sense. So a lot of it gets inflated, so it gets to the top of a chart, but then it crashes really quickly. Because those games can only survive if your regular customers continue to play it. Yeah. Eventually, they're not going to play it. Unless you're in a low frequency market, i.e. Las Vegas Strip, where somebody comes 2.5 days a year, they see this new cabinet, they play for 2 days, they didn't have a good experience, but the next person that stays in the hotel might be a new game. So a place like Vegas, that cycle might be longer.
Okay.
You go to, Toledo, Ohio, where 98% of your business is within 10 radius miles, well, that person comes every day. So if Tom, the slot player, sees this game that they liked because it was a cool cabinet, cool thing, after 3 or 4 days, they're not playing that game anymore. Mm-hmm. And if you don't get more Toms to play that game, it dies very quickly. So local markets, true persistence fail much faster.
What's like the percentage of AP players just in a regular casino environment? Like, or someone was like, it's like 0.0004%, whatever, of the average number of casino players. Like, is it a big amount, or like how many AP players are there?
It's not a lot, right? And the thing is that AP players today have gotten smart. I mean, they were always smart. Like, there's no reason for them to use their players' cards.
Yeah.
So you can't quantify what you can't see.
That's true.
But I would say, like, any one of our clients, you'll never see more than 500 or 600 active players that are taking advantage, which is, on the grand scheme of things, a very small amount. But those 500 or 600 players are taking a lot of...
Yeah, they're cashing in.
They're taking cash out of the building, right?
Yeah.
I know long term it's going to be a negative effect. But the slot economy is so big that it might be before, who knows when it will happen. But those local properties will feel it first.
Is this an issue that's like only in the U.S. or is this global?
Yeah, good question. So Australia, it's illegal to have persistence features.
Okay.
In Europe, it's illegal to have true persistence games.
Can they have perceived or no?
Yeah, perceived is fine. Okay. Perceived is just, I don't know why Australia and Europe doesn't allow it. Maybe it's to protect a regular slot customer. I really don't know.
Australia is like super.
Which is funny, where most manufacturers come from Australia, right? So it's kind of ironic.
They're like, MaxBet is $3, but
yeah, that's all for another conversation.
Yeah.
Right. So all you have to do is look at the customer data to realize that there may be a potential problem.
And that's where you come in.
I come in just saying that there's players that make a living.
Yeah.
And I would never, if you owned a business and said, a portion of the customers are going to walk through my door and I'm going to pay them, I don't know too many businesses that would sign up for that.
The true AP players, they're not doing any other kind of betting. They're so disciplined. They're going in just to check those out and only to do that. Like, they actually have a lot of respect for them because there's a lot of work that goes into it and a lot of math that I don't know. Like,
Yeah, true AP players. I think we it's almost a wrong term. They're an investor,
yeah,
right? They're a lot of them are ex poker players that played for a living.
yes,
A lot of them are some in our world today. It's a lot of baccarat players that are now playing. And baccarat players, play a very low house edge game. So many card counters have stopped card counting. Why in the world would you be a card counter when you could just go to a casino, play a slot machine, make probably more on an hourly rate? They'll give you a hotel room. They'll give you a steak and that. If you go count cards on the strip, they're going to take you to a back room. Now, there is no such thing as going to a back room in today's world, but you have all this heat on you.
not that we know.
Not that we know. This is kind of like a back room, though. You have all this heat on you. So why would you take all that heat? Those are a lot of your APs: card counters, baccarat players, poker players, anyone that could want to take advantage. And then I know of so many industry managers that have quit their job to play slots for a living.
Really?
Person that had been in a company 20 years said, I quit. Why? I can make more money playing slots.
I personally, I don't think you can discredit that. Like, I kind of respect that. It's legal and you've beat the system. I don't think you can be like, these people are,
I want to high five them.
I
Good
think-
for them if they have the
yeah.
discipline.
If you did that, I think it takes a lot to do it. You got to know.
It's hours, it's time, it's
Yeah.
effort, and then it's variance, right? So, the one thing that I think some comments you may have gotten is, well, I invested a lot of money. I don't always win. Yeah, you're investing. You're not stealing.
Right.
You're not cheating.
Yeah.
You're betting a game that has a positive expectancy, whether it's 1%, 2%, 5%, 10%, 20%.
Yeah.
There's variance in that. You can lose.
Mm-hmm.
You're not guaranteed to win. They are risking money. The difference is we flip coins with customers as an industry. Why the customer loses in the long run is the coin is weighed heavier on our side, the casino side, versus the customer. When AP slot players are playing, they're flipping coins with the casino. The difference is the coin is weighted heavier on their side.
Yeah.
So in the long run, if they have a bankroll and they have discipline, they will absolutely make money. Mm-hmm. It's a guarantee. Just like casinos are guaranteed to win,
Yeah.
on a daily basis in slots.
You can't, like, blame the player, basically.
Absolutely not.
You have to say, this is just a situation that's happened. No one's really to blame, but they're also just allowing it to happen and putting it on their floor, so it's going to keep happening.
That's right. I mean, listen, casinos are these big boxes that have a lot of money in them. Mm-hmm. And, AP slot players were AP players of something else in the past. We could spend a whole nother session on, AP marketing, right? Where in the marketing world, there's database marketing where casinos are losing a lot of money reinvesting in customers they shouldn't, or AP players identifying loopholes in marketing programs and taking out tens of $1,000s a month, which is straight up like revenue loss. Has nothing to do with the games they play or anything like that. They're just finding a loophole in the marketing program and just taking profit right out of the casino. But they're doing nothing wrong.
Yeah.
They found a loophole. They played to a certain level that the casino wants them to, and then they found a weakness in their database marketing program, and that person and 15 of their friends signed up, and it's X thousand a month that they're redeeming in free offers. Mm-hmm. And that's a bigger problem than AP slots by the millions. It's no different than people taking advantage of credit card offers. That's a real thing.
Yeah.
There are people that AP credit card offers, right? There's people that make a living APing all these loyalty programs throughout the world. Well, they do it in casinos too. How do I find a loophole in the casino marketing, and how do I extract profit from it? Casinos are always going to have a threat. This is a new one that was unintentional, that I believe in the long run, if operators aren't cognizant of what they're putting on the floor, it could be detrimental.
Well, I love this conversation. I'm very excited for this. I think you're going to get a lot more feedback. So I hope it's positive, but I think you've done a really good job of clearing up a lot of things for me that I just personally had questions on. But you have a great way of explaining it that makes it make sense to us amateurs.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
I'm an amateur too.
No, I don't think so. You've got a lot more industry experience. But all right, well, Ari at Tangan Systems. If you want to know if you have AP players on your floor, he will tell you. Thanks for coming on today, Ari. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
All right, have a good one.
Thanks.